All right, welcome back. Cryptocurrencies in the red today and much of the month, quite frankly. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, XRP, all sharply lower, between 6 and 8%. It has been a roller coaster year, to say the least, for cryptos. Many Bitcoin bulls, they called for Bitcoin to hit 100,000 by the end of the year, just days away now. Yet it's sitting at less than half that level. Let's fast forward. Let's take a look at the new year. Specifically, what will 22 bring when it comes to a spot Bitcoin ETF? That's a key question. We bring in CoinShares Chief Strategy Officer Meltem Demirors and Kraken Chief Operating Officer Dave Ripley to discuss. Meltem, I want to hit you first here. Not physically. I'm going to hit you with a question, and that is, what happened to 100,000 for Bitcoin? It seemed like we were getting close to there when just last month we were at nearly 70,000.
Look, I think what happened to Bitcoin is what happened across the board, tapering, right? People are concerned about macro policy. I think also going into the end of the year, there's uncertainty about just the state of the country overall. Politically, things feel fragile. I think there's a lot of shifts happening in the financial world, but just broadly across the American landscape and global market landscape. And so people are taking money off the table, more dry powder on sidelines than ever. And Bitcoin's not immune to that. So I think just generally people are worried.
Yeah. Dave, what leads when you look at the cryptos? Which ones lead in the new year?
Well, I think, it's interesting. I think in 2022, there's a lot of new, technologies that are coming to the fore. I think probably the most recent one that has grabbed a lot of attention and adoption are non-fungible tokens. It's a technology that's been around for quite some time, and it's kind of spawning a whole set of new use cases, from digital art to virtual worlds where people are actually able to own their own slice of a virtual world, to online gaming, where people are actually earning funds by playing games.
Let me stay with you then, Dave, because you have a new use for NFT at Kraken. You're developing a marketplace for NFTs to be used as collateral for loans. Do I have that right?
Yeah, I think that's honestly one of the most interesting things we see for 2022. I mean, by way of analogy, in the early days of the internet, e-commerce was made so much more powerful by the advent of online media and email, and we kind of see this reinforcing set of use cases happening in crypto as well. And the one you mentioned is a great example. So someone can, purchase a piece of online digital art for $100,000 from Sotheby's now, and they can turn around and actually very seamlessly use that as collateral for a loan, which was extraordinarily difficult in kind of the traditional finance world.
But that means adoption has to be critical for the new year. We're starting to see that now, but I think we have a long way to go. What do you think about that, Meltem?
Absolutely. Look, and what he's describing with NFTs, this is financialization. We've seen it with mortgages. We've seen it with all assets. It's just a natural part, I think, of finance becoming more digitized and more integrated into our day-to-day lives. Really, the last 2 years were the years of, investing becoming entertainment, right? And that's not slowing down. People have money. People want to invest. People are looking at markets. They're sitting at home. We're still in lockdowns. And so I think this trend is only going to accelerate, particularly with crypto, because it makes this so much more accessible, not just to people who are tied into Wall Street or who are financially savvy, but to everyday Americans who can now access crypto and NFTs on a whole range of platforms with a very small amount of capital. So it's really exciting.
Meltem, I want to, and I don't know if you can see what we're showing right now, but we're showing the most popular cryptocurrencies of the year according to StockTwits, and we had one of their executives on yesterday, and they found that #1 was Dogecoin, followed by Bitcoin, followed by Shiba Inu. What do you think about Dogecoin?
Look, Dogecoin and Shiba Inu are a perfect example of investing as entertainment, right? Look at meme stocks like AMC and GameStop. They're no different. Really what resonates with people is narrative, and Dogecoin and Shiba, I won't speak to their technical merits because there really aren't that many. They're forks of other existing cryptocurrencies, but the community, people are buying these things because they like the narrative, they find it entertaining. The price is very low, right? A Dogecoin at the beginning of the year costs less than a penny. And so I think, again, you see a bunch of people who are new to the world of investing. They like to buy things that resonate with them. And the story of a cute little dog on the internet that's a coin is exciting. Now, whether or not that's a great long-term investment to be determined, but I think this is no different from what we've seen in traditional markets as well.
Yeah, but Dave, the world's, well, yeah, the richest man on the entire planet happens to like Doge and Shiba Inu. But would you make the case that next year and I'm going to use the word continue, you can correct me if I'm wrong, we continue to see Bitcoin kind of separate from the rest of the pack? It becomes the asset you want to hold, not to use to buy a cup of coffee. You want to have it in your portfolio. And the rest of the cryptos, for the most part, maybe not Ether, they're just kind of in there for play money, for fun, for gambling a little bit, as Meltem sort of said.
I think that's partly correct. So the piece on Bitcoin becoming digital gold and really fulfilling that role as store of value, absolutely. Ethereum, a growing set of use cases on top of Ethereum, absolutely. I think, yes, there are some meme coins out there that can be referred to as just social play experiments and what have you. But there's a lot of other tokens out there in cryptocurrency networks that are really meaningful. So I think Polkadot, Solana, Cardano are all kind of Ethereum competitors, if you will, layer one smart contract platforms that are seeing real innovation and adoption, where a lot of these new use cases are being built on top of those platforms as well.
My favorite story of the year was when a company set up like brick and mortars to help people understand cryptocurrencies, because I think that's where a lot of the public is. We need a cheat sheet here. Thank you for giving us one as best you could. You guys are experts. Meltem, Demirors, and Dave Ripley, we do appreciate it.